And joining me now is Nebraska Republican Congressman Don Bacon. Congressman, thank you so much for joining me. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Kristen. Thanks for having me on.
So I want to talk about the shutdown, but before we go there, let's just talk about the big news where we started at the top of the broadcast. Senator Menendez has now been indicted. I want your reaction, but I want to ask it this way. Does it make it harder for Republicans like former President Trump, other Republicans who are arguing there are two systems of justice? Does the fact that Senator Menendez has been indicted undercut the argument that there are two systems of justice?
I think it does to a degree, Kristen. I've always believed in our rule of law. It doesn't make it perfect for people, and people are we have flaws, but we have checks and balances. You have a jury system, you have appeals. So I trust our legal system to get it right in the end. And, the senator will get his day in court, but if he's guilty of what is charged, he deserves to be held accountable. What he did was wrong if they can make their case. I feel the same way when it comes with President Trump. I mean, people have their day in court, and the prosecutors present their case, and there's appeals processes. So we have a good legal system, the best that we can have with human beings running the whole thing.
All right, Congressman, thank you for that. Let's move on now to the shutdown. I mean, you are there in Nebraska, which kind of tells you everything you know about where these negotiations are. We thought maybe there would be some votes. Clearly, that's not happening. Give me your best sense right now. Do you think we are headed for a government shutdown?
I believe in the end we're going to get this done. We'll get a CR probably done next week or maybe early the following week. We'll see. But we have 5 or 10 people that refuse to get to yes. Some of them want to shut down, believe it or not, which I think is very short-sighted and foolish. And there's a saying that I heard that I like. I mean, these people vote against the Bible because there's not enough Jesus in it, right? That's their mindset. And so I also call them the dysfunction caucus. They like chaos, and they're not team players. But we only have a 4-seat majority in the House, and we have 5 to 10 members that are doing this, depending on the bill. It does create this chaos that they don't know how to be a team. So in the end, and I've said this to the Speaker, who I support, that you got to work anyway with the Senate when it's all said and done. So let's just do that now. Let's do a bipartisan agreement. We'll do a CR, get the spending bills negotiated with the Democrats across the aisle, negotiate the best deal that we can as Republicans, and cut these 5 or 10 people out. I think we need to push them to the side and make them irrelevant, because they're hurting the country, they're hurting the House, and they're hurting their party.
Well, let me talk to you about a potential off-ramp. As you know, there's talk of this potential discharge position, and just to kind of petition, I should say, and just to put that into plain English, it's basically a tool that allows lawmakers to force a vote on legislation, even if the Speaker doesn't want to bring it up for a vote. Would you support that effort?
I would if it's the problem solvers bill that we have support. We have 64 members of the problem solvers, half Republican, half Democrat. And we agreed on a framework. That framework is a CR until January 11th. That'll give us time to get appropriations bills done. We'll also do disaster relief because we're out of money because of Hawaii and Florida. We would do Ukraine, which I support. I'm a Reagan Republican. We stand up to bullies. We help out those who are being invaded, like Ukraine has been. But we'd also have a very stringent border security provision in this. And this gets Republicans on board and Democrats on board with the other parts of this framework. We have draft legislation right now. We're just trying to fine tune it. But in the end, if we could get legislation that looks like that, I'm going to support it. And I believe it'll have good Republican and Democrat support.
Let me push you on that a little bit, though, Congressman. What if you can't come to an agreement on all of those different measures that you just talked about, Ukraine funding, for example? Would you support a short-term bill with nothing attached, a clean bill, a clean CR, as we say here? If
it's that or an actual shutdown, and we're talking a short-term, I will support the short-term CR. But there's some things we could get done. Our border is totally broke. 10,000 people crossed yesterday, and the administration says how many they detain, but then they release 90%, and it's hurting local communities all over. We have to support Ukraine, too, in my view, and we're out of disaster relief money. So there's things that need to be done that I think could have broad bipartisan support, and we ought to try to do that. So I'm for making a deal across the aisle now and making the best deal that we can as Republicans. You're going to have to do it anyway. We ought to just go to it now and not get caught up with these 5 or 10 members who want us to shut the government down. As
you well know, Congressman, part of the drama that is unfolding is these holdouts are also threatening Speaker McCarthy's speakership. Do you think his speakership is in jeopardy right now?
It's clearly about 5 of them don't want Kevin McCarthy to be the speaker. 200 of us plus or so or more do want him to be the speaker.
But it only requires one vote, Congressman. It only requires one vote to call a vote on his whole speakership. Do you think he's in jeopardy?
Right. It only takes 4 Republicans to potentially put him at risk and lose the speakership. But the fact is they have no alternative, zero alternative. They have nobody else that they can offer to put up that the 200 of us whatever vote for. I think the speaker's position is secure. It may go through turbulence with a vacate the chair motion. I don't think it would survive the table vote. I think especially if the speaker decided to start working across the aisle and get a bipartisan deal, I think you'd have some Democrats would probably vote present and not vote to vacate. In the end, I think the speaker is secure, though it's going to be turbulent. And we have 5 people that want it their way or the highway. The problem is the other 210 people don't.
Let me ask you about the other issue that will be coming up this week. Of course, as you're facing this shutdown deadline, the House is holding its first impeachment hearing for President Biden. Do you think it's appropriate for this to be happening this week while you're still struggling to keep the government open?
You know, we have 20 committees. All of our committees are going to be meeting this week. I don't think it's inappropriate. You know, I advised against going down the impeachment inquiry route. We had 3 committees that found all this information to begin with. If it wasn't for these committees, we wouldn't have known about the $20 million or the 20 LLCs that are out there. So I thought the right work was being done. And I think our country does not want to be the country that has impeachments with every president. So I think we should set a very high bar. You need direct evidence pointing towards the president. In my view, there's circumstantial evidence right now. But I believe them to be more cautious and meticulous with this process.
All right. Well, I know you have a heart out, Congressman, so I'm going to let you go. I really appreciate your answering all these questions. And as you point out, no hard evidence so far of a link between the president and his son's business dealings. But I know that there will be ongoing investigations into that on the Hill. Congressman, good to see you.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.